Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the podcast. On this episode, I sat down with Shona Stephenson. Now, before we get going, just want to let you know this is about the 50th time that I've tried to do this take. I just can't seem to get the words out. So for a much more detailed introduction and a complete bio for Shona, look down in the description below and we'll keep it nice and brief right now. So Shona is an ultra endurance runner, and ultra endurance is anything over the length of a marathon. But Shona has been super successful around the world, racing in the most prestigious events, and some of these are up to 100 miles or longer, up and down snow-capped mountains, through rainforests and the bush. So the reason that I wanted to talk to her is because I've become super fascinated in ultra endurance athletes lately. Just the physical aspect of it intrigues me, but even more so the mindset and the mental toughness that must happen to be able to keep pushing yourself over 100 miles up and down snow-capped mountains when every part of you just wants to quit. I feel like that after about 10 kilometers. Hearing from somebody who's super successful in that was really incredible. She also has two businesses. She's a PT and she's a running coach. And as well as that, she's also the co-founder and race director of the Brisbane Trail Ultra. The Brisbane Trail Ultra, which is a ultra endurance event just outside of Brisbane here up near Mount Cootha. And you can see that in the link description. It's something I really want to work my way up to. So yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you to Shona for taking time out of her busy schedule to come and chat to us on the podcast. It really means the world to me. She has an incredibly inspiring story of how she got into running. And after our chat, I've actually started getting more and more into running because I was so inspired from talking to her. So that's enough from me. As I said, check out the description below. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation with Shona Stephenson, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, but I'm super excited to talk to you today. It's awesome. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to be on the podcast. It means the world to me.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for asking. It's always very flattering to to think or know that people want to hear from you, which is really nice. And I do like talking, so
that's always a plus.
We can chat work.
Definitely.
Kind of being a trainer or a running coach is that you've got to like people. You've got to be able to probably chat someone's ear off for an hour while they're hurting a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's very different to being the runner, where you can kind of be in your zone. It's you and you and the track, you and the competition. Yeah. Where I guess you probably don't have to be as much of a people person, but training people, it kind of helps.
Yeah, it's almost so when I hit the trails on my own, it's a bit more like a holiday. Yeah, it's an absolute downtime, and for me to not have to think or not have to concentrate or focus on somebody else and somebody else's well-being and making sure they're not going to die or that they're with you, or if I have a training camp and then looking after 10 people at once and making sure that they're all okay. And so to be on your own, either for a long training run or just out in the bush by yourself or racing, it really is it's like a holiday or a treat to yourself, which is, I guess that's why we do it, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah. Do you find it quite like meditative? Like I've heard people say, I get into sort of a trance. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of how you know that you're having a good day or a good race. And because you are, you're just focusing on yourself, you're focusing on your breath, you're focusing on your steps. And so that's your essential part. Then the next part is you're focusing on nutrition, you're focusing on your hydration. So you're focusing on like an imaginary clock as well, and then whereabouts you are on that clock, and then when are you eating, when are you drinking next, where should you be now, depending if you've written splits for yourself or not. So it's all the absolute focus. And look, if you're just running, not racing, but you're just running for a training run and you're not like totally that concerned about nutrition that much, then and you're just out on an exploration day, maybe just with a map in your hands. It's really nice, and definitely some nice downtime. Yeah,
because I guess that's the difference, isn't it? Like a running race where you're all on the track together, you can see straight away where you are, because you can go, I'm behind that person, or I'm in front of that person by this much. Whereas if you're in the middle of a trail by yourself without those splits, you don't know where you are, how you're going. Yeah.
And that's exactly right. And it could be, I'm saying ultra, I may not see someone for 2 hours. I may not. I may only see people at checkpoints, and then you might run in and spot a whole group of people. But so sometimes I would say if I was racing, I would look at the faces of people around me. So in other words, say there's another support crew there. I'm running, this is like kind of racing stuff. I would run into a checkpoint. I would see which support crews are there. I would look at their faces. I pretty much have an idea of who they're supporting, and then I can tell how close they are to me or not, or if they're doing well or not by looking at the support crew face. Sounds
Because if they're
weird.
shocked, like surprised, they're like, oh man, you might think,
they're not doing
oh
so
crap,
well.
I'm smashing them. Or if they look all ready, I guess, to bring that person in, you go, okay, they must be right behind me somewhere. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm sure other athletes do exactly that. Or I would, ask my own support crew. But quite often I would run unsupported, and I prefer that. Sounds weird, but I just want to run in, grab my own checkpoint bag, and then get the hell out of there, not touch anything, not see anybody, and just be as efficient as possible. Because I don't know, it seems that if someone's waiting for you for hours on end, you feel obliged to spend a bit of time with them. The poor guys have been out there, waiting for you for so long. So I love it that they come out and help me, but I also am quite content, being on my own too.
Yeah. So if we jump back a little bit, so we've been talking about running straight away, I guess when you're first introducing yourself to somebody who you've never met before, how do you kind of introduce yourself?
Oh, that's an interesting one, because so many people, if you tell them that you're an ultra runner, like you've lost them at 10Ks. For people to actually fathom, they go, oh, a marathon, that's 10Ks, isn't it? No, a marathon is 42.2Ks, and then you've lost them at 10Ks. Most people can't actually grasp the distance. They think 10Ks is enough. And so then when you're trying to explain to them, oh, I run ultras, and then which is anything technically over 42.2K, and then I run it through the mountains, not flat, and potentially I run it at altitude, and then, I've lost them. You can't even tell them, oh, and then by the way, I may have won a few events, or I've been ranked 8th in the world. Like, they're still back at 10K. They've gone. They've lost it. So,
do you do that in an afternoon, or how do you do that usually?
Is that in one go, or and so they don't even equate it to anything. So it's probably, as an ultra runner, you're always going to remain humble, because they don't understand it, they don't get it, and so they don't grasp it at all. But and then I would say, oh, and I do it, and I have asthma, and I'm a mum of 2, and then they're kind of a bit like, what, you have asthma? And what sort of asthma is that? Oh, exercise-induced asthma and cold, dry air asthma, which, mountain running asthma. And yes, that sometimes I will have to pull out an event due to an asthma attack. And actually, to be honest with you, pretty much almost all my DNFs but 2 have been due to asthma attacks if I DNF something. So, there's always this kind of interesting mind game play that I have to do with myself if I am doing an event, like how sick will you be, but that's just all challenges. Part of ultra running is that you never quite know what an event will hold for you. Even with all the training in the world, you just don't know what will find you out there. There's too many variables involved.
Which I guess that's part of what you love about it, right? Is those challenges.
That is definitely the challenge. And it's not only the challenge of, the training, but it's a challenge of getting your nutrition right. And it's, for me, the challenge of managing my asthma too, and getting through an event, hopefully asthma-free. That's a massive challenge for me. If I do go through an event asthma-free, I usually have a stormer. If I get a little bit of asthma, it's okay. Sometimes, I just know I'm going to end up with pneumonia afterwards. and
As you do.
I'm going to be sick. I'm just going to be sick for 3 weeks afterwards, and take myself to the doctor and go on antibiotics, and then hope that, my next event isn't too close, and then recover, and then off I go again. So, explaining to somebody what you do, they can't. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's good that we could explain it over a longer period of time today then, so people can start to get a good idea of it. Because even for me, it's once the first ultra runner that I came across was, you probably know her, Courtney DeWalter.
Yeah. She's a gun. Yeah, absolute gun.
I heard about her she was on a podcast I listened to, and I was just thinking, what is this sport? Like, it's nuts. And so I thought, I want to talk to somebody who does this. So here we are. And so this mindset of challenge, you talked about, it's just part of it. If I'm going to be sick for 3 weeks afterwards, that's part of it. Have you always thought like that? Like, has that always been something
it's an interesting one. Like, have I always had asthma? Yeah, probably. I was always the kid at, when say like a pro wheel, like down at my school, it wasn't a big public school, so it's probably easier to win than like a big public school. But I didn't lose a race my whole primary school, and I'm pretty sure high school as well. I get to the districts or the regionals, and I'll make it to the finals, but I definitely wasn't like a standout runner. You know what I mean? Like, I made it through the athletic squad and all the rest of it, but if I wasn't like I represent the state or anything. It definitely came afterwards, but I was that kid coughing after my 800 and 1200 events. I was the coughing kid, so I've always had asthma. And then after doing athletics, I was an elite gymnast, and also a representative netball player. So I guess in my youth, in my teens, I was used to doing a lot of exercise. And then also, I'm only a tiny little girl and just used to potentially having to punch above my weight, because here I am playing netball and everyone's huge against me. But my agility from being an elite gymnast was what got me through to be a representative player. So, so I had that kind of challenge. So I was used to always potentially not having the height or not having the lungs and having to work through it. And it just so happens that, lo and behold, trail running is amazing for someone who's little and has agility. And so I found that that's probably my strength, is agility. But when we talk about, did I go straight from, a kid or, a teenager into trail running? No, I had babies in between, and I definitely wasn't an athlete in my 20s at all. Like, I barely even ran, maybe 5Ks twice a week, every 3 weeks.
Yeah, right.
I really wasn't doing much exercise at all in my 20s. Yeah.
So how do you go from running twice a week, every 3 weeks, to now doing what you're doing? How does that happen?
Yeah, it's it's a pretty cool story, to be honest. I had my kids, my first child when I was about 26, and then my second daughter I had when I was 28. And all I wanted to do, like most 28, 29-year-olds, was just to run the city to surf. I'm originally from Sydney, before I turned 30. And so I just put my little 7-month-old baby in a stroller, and I ran with her the city to surf, and she cried the whole way, and I had to breastfeed twice on the side of the road, the whole story about, the running mum. And I just finished it. And so I just went, oh, yeah, cool, that was nice. And then after I did that race, because I'd done the city to surf, I got an email maybe 6 months later saying, do you want to do a half marathon from, Sydney Morning Herald, or, because that's the sponsor. And I went, oh yeah, I'll do a half marathon. How bad can that be?
So that's 20 something Ks, right? Half marathon?
Yeah, 21.1 K is a half marathon. Yeah. So I went, oh, that can't be that bad. And at the same time, I decided to shave all my hair off to raise money for the Leukemia Foundation. So I did number 1. Yeah. And I thought, well, what's a really cool way to keep the weight off, get the rest of the baby weight off, but to feel good about myself at the same time. And went, you know what, I'll sign up for that half marathon. So I signed up for the half marathon, and it was only like on 8 weeks training. My bung knees, like I'm double jointed, and my kneecaps will slip around to the outside. They used to. They haven't done it for ages. I'm strong now. But my kneecaps used to slip around to the outside. And 6 weeks beforehand, I did my knee again. had my, your baby in front of you on the baby beyond, and I bent down and picked something off the ground and out flips my knee.
Oh.
So it's just like, not at all the body that you'd expect to be able to like run ultras later. But yeah, I just did that first half marathon, and while I was running around the first lap, I was going, I'm so doing a marathon at the end of this year. Like, hello. And then
you just really enjoyed it.
No, but I got to 15K in. I went, there's no fucking way I'm doing the marathon at the end of the year. I am not doing the marathon. I'm only doing the half marathon. This is way too bloody hard. I had to walk up the hills at the end. I was stuffed. And at the end of it, I went, I couldn't walk for 3 days. And like, I really was stuffed. My knees were killing me. I went, oh my God, how on earth am I going to get better? And so I went, you know what, I'm just going to enter that 15K trail run, and I'm going to just do that. I went, how hard can 15Ks on the trail be? Well, if I ran 1 hour 46 and a half marathon for my first half marathon, I reckon I do about an hour and a half for this. Anyway, this my first ever trail running event. I went out so hard, and it's always kind of, I guess, my thing that I do is that I go out really fast. I haven't learned. I still do it now. I went out really fast. First 5K, dying. It's called the Great Nosh, if anybody knows of this event. So I ran along effectively the side of Sydney Harbour, and then you get to the bottom of the Roseville Bridge, and you have to run up and over the top of the Roseville Bridge. And then as you go across the Roseville Bridge, there's taxis going past. And this is 13 years ago. This is before everyone's iPhone had like an Uber on it.
Yeah.
I didn't have my mobile phone on me. I didn't have a credit card on me to get a taxi, but I swear to God, I would have got a taxi out of there and stopped. I was in so much pain. I was going out so fast and so hard. I was total bonking, and I got up and over the hill, running down the other side, and I'm just yelling out for water. Where's the water? Oh my God, it's 5Ks in. Anyway, eventually I got to the end, 400 meters from the end. I didn't even know where the finish line was. I'm just walking. And these guys are coming up behind me going, it's tough, isn't it? And I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe, I'm just walking at the end of this. And then I got to the end, and my dad said to me, everyone else is covered in mud and blood and all the rest of it. And he goes, are you ever going to do that again, Shona? I go, nah, Dad, that's way too hard. And then the next year, I didn't do it again. The year after that, I came second, and the year after that, I won that event.
Wow.
So it was just one of those stepping stones where, I really was up against it, and I just chipped away. So I went from being, definitely someone who was walking in amongst the pack to someone who could win those events. And that same year when I won that event, I think pretty sure that 2 weeks beforehand, I came sixth in UTA, and that was my first ever 100K, and that would have been 2011. Yeah.
And UTA, is it Ultra Trail Australia? Is that one?
Ultra Trail Australia. So back then it was known as the North Face 100 when I first did it. And it was probably one of my best achievements. In other words, it was my first ever event, and what I should say is my first ever trail running 100K event.
Yeah.
And then it was a solo, and all the elites turned up from all over Spain, US, UK. Yeah. They all rocked up because that year Ultra Trail Mount Fuji had been postponed or cancelled due to poor weather. So they all turned up to UTA, and it meant that I really got to race it against the best. And my time, if it was the year before, would have come first. It just so happened that the year that I did it, all these good girls turned up. And but it kind of meant that, your result is that much better anyway, because it means that, you could race it against the best in the world, and you're
competitive against them. Yeah, for sure.
I'm competitive. I'm there, and it's probably worth more to me than just getting a first in an event. Do you get what I mean? Because it really was. It was a real result. And I remember Tom Lennon-Smith, they did a podium down to 10, and because I'm such a novice, I wasn't there. Otherwise, I would be caught up on stage and made into this big, you-ha about me. But I just had no clue. Oh, I came sixth, no big deal. Okay, off we go, get back to the kids, And but like nowadays, if you got sixth on UTA, it's like, whoa, Ultra Australia, that's a big deal. So I then came back the year later to UTA and I came third. And so I took 50 minutes off my time. So I did 12 hours 50 my first year. And then I did 12 hours 50 minutes and let's say 31 seconds. No, 12 hours flat and 31 seconds. The year after that, I think I did, I had a bad year, like a 12 hours 50. The year after that, I did 11 hours 47, I'm going to say.
Right.
45. I did 11 hours 45 and 11 hours 47. I've done 5 of them and I've got 3/3.
And so that's 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
It's in 11 hours. So you're racing. That's quick then. Yeah.
Yeah, we the girls who win it usually do it in under 11 or close to. So my best time there is I think it's 11 hours 45. It's an interesting course because there's a lot of stair climbing. So if anyone ever wants to go down and do UTA, you just have to be good at stairs. Going up stairs, you have to be good, but you have to be good at going down them. Very good at going down.
Because you've got to keep that pace while going down. Yeah, for sure.
And not hurt yourself too, so not hurt your quads. So it's a real technique involved to descending a set of stairs. There's railings too, and you learn to hold on to the railings and when to hold on, let go, hold on, let go. You wear gloves too, so you don't cut your hands.
Okay, yeah, wow.
And there will be leeches. If it's wet, there will be a leech on those railings. You got to flick it off. Oh. But there's a particular section that after about 75 Ks, if you've gone too hard in the first 50 to 60 Ks, by the time you get to 75 Ks, it's seriously like 10 stairs up, 10 stairs down, 10 stairs up, 10 stairs down. Oh. And so many stairs that later you have nightmares from it. Like you got to sleep at night and you just have stairs blowing in your face. But if you go too hard too early and you get to that 10 stairs up, 10 stairs down, you actually feel sick. Like the motion of it makes you feel really sick. And a lot of people pull out that 75K feeling sick. It could just be like you do this quite a big climb. I think it's 50K in, you come up Nelly's Glen, and it's an 800-metre climb. Wow. 400 metres of it is stairs. So, and it's after 50 Ks of running. And if you don't pace that well, you do yourself in. Yeah. So if anyone's doing UTA, just take Nelly's Glen slow. Otherwise, you just pay for it.
How do you train for something like that? Just find a big staircase and run up and down it, like.
To be honest with you, that. Like we in Brisbane, we have Kangaroo Cliffs. There's also Jacksonia Trail. So there's a few trails on Mount Cootha as well. Pick any set of stairs. I said the Albert Street stairs. I'm usually on those as well. But probably the best training you can get is actually on a bike because you're especially descending because it just trains your foot to pick up and to run around in a circle as fast as you can. And so as you're descending, the minute your foot's hit the ground, you've already trained it to pick it back up again. And around and around and around the circle, you run down those stairs with no impact.
Yeah, true.
The other thing is that you have to, you don't have to, but when you're doing your stair descending, I never run down one step at a time. I always go down 2 steps at a time. And that's so my body gets used to taking the impact of 2 steps at a time, because when you go out to the Blue Mountains, they're not beautifully graded stairs.
No.
They're huge drops. So your body has to be able to take that impact of the drop. So I remember my mate way back when I was learning, he goes, Shona, you got to do stairs, but not just 1 stair at the time, do 2 stairs at a time. And so that I then made that into one of my strengths, is to be able to descend those stairs really fast. And it really is probably the reason why I've got three podiums there, like proper podiums there, is because I'm a good descender and limited impact on my body. So, I hardly ever put my heel on the ground at all, so I don't smash my quads, and it's ready for the climbs for later. Yeah, so
is that... No, sorry, you go. Oh, I was just going to say, to go from running, so you've ran the marathons down in Sydney, or the half marathons and the marathons. How did you go then? Because, like I'm not a big runner. I'm trying to get more and more into running. But, I get sore legs and I get sore knees and feet. And I think it's because my technique's awful. Is that something that you intentionally had? What's that? Sorry?
I don't want to say your technique's awful because I haven't seen it. So, but I can understand.
It will be.
If you're getting a little bit sore, you definitely might be telling you something's not going right. But you may not be eating right at the same time as well. If you're doing a lot of road running, that's a lot harder on your body than doing trail running. But I guess for me, my big turning point was just like anybody. I guess like anybody, depends. People want to do the Sydney Surf Right, and then another one of my long-term goals was to do Oxfam Trail Walker. And so my first Oxfam Trail Walker was in 2010, so 10 years ago. And that year, it was going to be my first ever 100K. And that year I finished with 2 broken feet.
You finished with 2 broken feet?
2 broken feet. And I knew I was just taking myself off to the hospital the next day for my birthday. I'm pretty sure I was turning, I'm going to say about, 2010, I must have been turning 32. So I'm 42 now. So, 32. Yeah, so 42. Oh, my God. So, I took myself off to the hospital the next day and I knew I was going to be on crutches for 3 months. My technique was wrong. I was pushing through my feet too much. So I was doing a lot of road running and pushing through my feet so not lifting. So you know how like it should be minimum impact on your body. Your foot hits the ground, you literally pick it back up again. You don't push through your foot.
Yes.
So that's why cycling is beautiful, because it's like it trains you to get that heel up underneath your butt. So I was using the power, like my power from gymnastics or whatever. I had my, because I used to sprint, I had that real, I guess, that push-off power and netball, whatever. And so I was running quite differently. So it took me far out, 3 months of on crutches. So when I was on crutches, I could go in deep water running. I couldn't walk in shallow water, even up to my waist or my armpits. I couldn't walk. My feet were too busted.
Just too much weight on your feet.
Yeah, I couldn't actually roll forward. I couldn't roll forward through full flexion of my foot. My feet were so smashed up that all I could do was tread water, or I could get on a bike and just turn my legs over in a circle. Yeah. Even an elliptical trainer was too much range of motion through my foot. I found an amazing stair machine, which I could literally just go through, like my knee lift, my knee drive, and then my like knee drive, like range of motion through that. And that was about it. That's all I could do because my feet were busted for 3 to 6 months. And so, of course, when I came back to running again, leading into 2010, I had to be really careful because I potentially could bust my feet up. And I had to go back on crutches again for another month over the Christmas holidays. So I busted my feet in August until October. I was on crutches, and then December I'm pretty sure I put myself on crutches again for a month.
Getting on it because you just got on it too quick.
Yeah, and too much running. And at the time I was a personal trainer, a running coach, and so I was literally on my crutches with my bag clipped around me, pointing my single, my crutch around, going, run there, go up and down that hill, and so on. And all I could think of was, what sort of example am I to my clients? Here I am with 2 broken feet, like, hello. So it was an absolute lesson to me of how to teach people how to run to make sure they were going to end up like I did with two busted up feet. So I learned very quickly that I could run a lot further on a trail than what I could on a road. So for me, 100 Ks on a trail did absolutely no damage to my feet compared to 10K on a road is pretty my limit back then. Now, like I've done 100K on the road or 50K on a road, I can, like a half marathon on the road, but I'm just very careful. And it took me a long time to be able to do that. Yeah.
Mm. So let's dig into that moment then. So, because I'm really interested in the physical side of ultra endurance, but I'm also super interested in the mindset, like because it's so much of it is a mental game as well, right? It probably would you say it's more mental than physical, or?
Absolutely. Like, why would you want to like put yourself through that much pain?
Yeah. So what's going through your mind? So when you've got 2 broken feet and you're like, most people maybe
pulled out a case. Yeah.
I would have gone, I'm over this, stuff this, I'm going home. What makes you keep going? Like, what's going through your mind to do that?
I think this is it. Like I think I was just so focused on my end goal. Like I was in a team of 4 women. Like I knew that I was fast enough, even on my 2. I knew I wasn't the slowest person on the team, is what I was saying. So I was probably naturally the quickest girl on the team. That day with 2 broken feet, all I had to do was to stay in front of the slowest girl. And I was happy to take the hit and take the hit for the team effectively was what I did, because I knew that there couldn't be. I think we ended up being second female overall. I think around so driven by, position. But I didn't want to let the team down. I knew that they couldn't just find someone else to run 100 Ks in, in like 2 weeks' notice. What actually happened was, and this is how I busted my feet. There could have been something going on beforehand, but what happened was I was around the city to surf, and I started the city to surf, and I was in a pair of really, really lightweight, probably only 5K racing shoes, like racing flats.
Yeah.
And I was so cold on the start line. My feet were freezing. And so I undid my shoelaces a bit. So just a little bit, just to get some more movement in my feet. Anyway, I didn't do them up again. I ran down the first hill. I could feel my feet sliding around like nothing else. And I just went, stuff it, you don't need shoelaces, just keep going. You're doing really well. Anyway, about 11K, 8Ks in, I felt blood blisters on the balls of my feet. And so I literally slammed into my feet to try and pop the blood blisters. But it was probably just the balls of my feet getting pulverized from the pounding. Yeah. So again, poor technique. So that's 8K. I got up to 10K and I looked at the clock and I saw that this still had a 3. So in other words, I was like 39 minutes for 11Ks or whatever. So it meant that all I had to do was just to roll down the hill and I'd get to sub 60 for the city to surf. And so another goal of mine was to be sub 60 and to be a preferred runner for the city to surf led to that injury. And then 3 weeks later, I was having to do Oxfam. So I would say I was incredibly driven and incredibly focused, and I probably have an ability to switch off my pain threshold response, I would say. So in other words, I would feel the pain. Would I identify with it? Probably not. I don't identify with pain. There could be something going on in my body, and what would make most people stop, I acknowledge it. Yes, it's there, but I don't let it lead to another thought, which is you got to stop or slow down. It's just like, oh, yes, that's there. Okay, cool. What does that mean that you have to do with your technique? I'm going to change my technique just a little bit now, and that's blah, blah, blah. Or oh, yeah, okay, so today I was out running with a client before. Like my quads are pretty smashed from yesterday, which I was up Mount Nebo running around there, and my legs hurt, but I just don't identify with the pain because I know I've got to run 4 days with 4 hours with my client, so there's no point worrying about it. I've just got to get to the end goal. So
you can kind of process it. You're processing the pain. You're not just going, oh, I'm feeling this sucks. I'm so sore. You're going, hey, I'm feeling pain. Where's it coming from? And you're working with that pain. You're almost like teaming up with it to go, how can we get to the finish line now? That's really interesting.
What do I need to do with my technique? Okay, so the reason why my quads are smashed, right? Everyone feels smashed quads. It's part of conditioning too. Your quads get smashed. You run down a big hill in Mount Nebo, and so today I'm out on a huge hill again with a client, and I can feel it. I can feel its pain. I can feel it's hurting me. what do I do with that? Yeah, you know what? That's probably just going to loosen up. If I just keep doing this and keep moving it, it's just going to loosen up. Yeah, it's going to be worse tomorrow, but today you're just going to loosen up. And so I've got to effectively break those. You've got micro tears going on. And so I'm kind of re-aggravating my micro tears a little bit. As long as I'm not doing it too bad, then I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I guess I remember my physiotherapist would say, you could probably drive a truck through my body and I'd just bounce. So because my ability to recover was really high, and I don't know if it's due to genetic, maybe it's because I don't identify with the pain, and that means that I'm more relaxed and not stressed and I'm able to recover on the run, or it's just the way that my hormones work, or the way what I eat as well. So I definitely, like, I'm gluten-free, I'm dairy-free, I'm vegan. Look, I don't push veganism onto anybody, but it's just what works for me. And I'm finding that I don't feel pain as much as what I would normally feel pain.
That's so interesting.
If I ate something that inflamed my body, I would feel more pain. But if I eat really beautiful and clean, I don't feel pain as much.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because one of the people that I follow pretty closely is Rich Roll.
We've all read his books, Finding Ultra.
I'm listening to it in the audio version of it at the moment, and because he's the same. Like I think he started running when he was like 45 or something like that, and he'd been, had a mini heart attack, all this stuff. Yeah. And he went vegan, not because of any animal rights stuff or anything like that, but just purely he's like, I just feel incredible. Like, and there's something about it, hey.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've been vegetarian since I'm 18, I reckon. And I haven't eaten any dairy since about then as well. Maybe when I was about 36, I had added a little bit of fish in, but I've probably taken that out now. So the past year, I've definitely taken it out, and I'm feeling good for it again. You just work through it, and it just works what works for your body, I find. And I'm finding there is definitely a thread with ultra runners that it just seems to work for us. And it means that it just means that we can get enough calories in through vegetables, because we don't have to try and process that amount of protein. It's less acidic too if you eat vegan. It means that you have a more alkaline diet and you just recover a lot faster. So
it's so interesting.
We have beetroot juice, don't we? We all have our beetroot juice, and there's a big push on that. Like, I have my carrot, celery, beetroot and apple juice every day religiously, and I know that makes me feel good too. And I've probably almost eaten that juice drunk that juice ever since I was about 18, when an old naturopath said, you need to have this every day. And I went, okay, fair enough. Wasn't a runner then, but it made me feel good.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because like I'm not a vegan. It's something I've never really been exposed to or anything like that. And the only people that I knew that were vegans were people who were really trying to, I guess, push it on me because of the animal side of it, which I completely understand. But the more and more I look into this kind of people who are athletes that are really flourishing, that are, they don't just get to their, because I'm 30 this year, you don't just get to 30 and then drop off. They're athletes that are really going strong. They all seem to be either vegetarians or vegans. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them do. Yeah. So I'm really starting to think about it.
Yeah, some of them might have a bit of fish in there. There's other people who are just Neanderthals, and that's sweet. But I think that's the key is, you just work out what works for you. And if you are finding that there's a bit of pain going on, just try it. It seems to work for so many people. It's a great way to keep the weight off too. And let's face it, a lot of the battle is power to weight ratio for, ultra runners. You have to get up and over that mountain, or the more kilometers that you do, if you're lighter, it's easier. I would say to my partner who looks at me and he goes, God, you could never put on weight. But to be honest with you, I'm celiac as well, so I've got that on top of it, as well as being,
Right.
vegan. So it's probably the reason why I am vegan is because I am celiac. And so I have to make sure that I can digest all my food in just the most absorbent, anti-inflammatory way. But it definitely, I think it would actually hurt me to get any bigger than this. And we always joke about it because, those foods that, I would naturally love, like cheese and gluten, like who doesn't love cakes and pastries and all that stuff, but oh my God, I've been in so much pain, so I can't have it. So which is good. It's very easy for me to then eat clean because it really does hurt me.
I think it's one of those things though as well, like even I don't think I'm a celiac or anything like that, but the other night when was it, Friday night, all these COVID restrictions, they're starting to loosen up. So we went with two friends out to a cafe near the valley, near the barracks, and I had a burger and chips. And I after that, I woke up and I was like, I feel awful. Like I felt disgusting. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Like the reward doesn't outweigh what comes afterwards. Like,
gosh, you might say we go to a burger place. I always get the vegetarian patty, and then I ask them to do lettuce top and bottom, and then I get carrot, celery, beetroot, pineapple. Carrot, celery, pineapple, and then it's avocado as well, and then I get loads of chips. And then I bulk it up with all the chippies, but I definitely don't have the gluten, and even the gluten-free bread. If some of them do have egg in it, or I'm allergic to sesame, and so I've got asthma, so I'm celiac and asthmatic, so I've got to always try and make sure my airway is really open and clear.
Yeah.
So that's why I do the lettuce, which is hilarious. But I bulk up on the chips. Nothing wrong with potatoes.
That ticks all the boxes, that's for sure.
Oh, how good is it? Love it. Yeah. Love it.
I think it's something that I'm going to, I don't know, my wife isn't super keen, but just experiment a bit with. I like experimenting, so try and see how I go for a week or 2 weeks and see what happens, and this sort of stuff. Just play around, see what happens.
Usually after about 2 weeks, you notice a difference. So sometimes I would always say to people, give me 2 weeks. If you can cut back for something for 2 weeks, try it for 2 weeks, and then let's just see how you go. Sometimes it might take 3 months. So say if you've been eating something and it is a toxin for your body, sometimes it would take 3 months for that to leave your body if you were really clogged up.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks, you should feel better.
Yeah. I eat well. My wife and I, we both eat pretty damn healthy. It's just we do add in meat and dairy, so shouldn't be too bad. But I'll give it a try. You've inspired me.
Here we go. You feel better. You'll be bouncing off the walls in no time. Yeah.
Definitely. What do you recommend for? We're bouncing around a bit still, but so for people that are you mentioned that you're a running coach. You've got a client at the moment. We were talking before we hit record. You've got a client who's just starting out. What would you say to somebody who's listening to this, like myself, and going, I really want to get in. Like I've always wanted to be a runner, but I've never got to the point where I was a runner. I was just somebody who would go for a run, go, I feel terrible, and then that would be it'd be another month. What do you say to somebody who's trying to get into it?
It was interesting. The guy who I was just coaching, he can't even run. So I'm just walking with him at the moment. So there are people out there who are definitely 130 kilos, 140. I think I've even trained people who are 150 kilos before. Wow. And they're hoping to just walk 200 meters. And so I've taken people from walking 200 meters to running 10Ks.
Yeah,
and it's that same person. And you just got to chip away. So just take it so slowly, and sometimes just get your walking fitness up. So get your time on your legs up. So you start with that. Safe way to get your fitness up when walking is to do hill repeats. So really cool way. It builds up your glute strength, builds up your quad strength up and down. But when you can handle walking up and down hills, the good thing is to do from there is to maybe run 20 steps and walk 20 steps. And most people can handle 20 steps walking, 20 steps running. So effectively you're doing like a cheeky interval with yourself, but you're not really calling it intervals.
No.
But you're doing a cheeky interval with yourself. And so you can just do 20 steps on, 20 steps off. And most people can handle that. And to be honest with you, that's how I would normally teach clients to be able to run up a hill. Because sometimes you hit the bottom of a hill and you go, oh my God, that's so big, I can't run up that. But most people can manage 20 steps on, 20 steps off. And that's also how I would manage a hill, say if I was doing like Ultra Mont Blanc or a massive hill. I would set a goal to myself or a target. I definitely have an action plan effectively at the base of each hill and go, okay, what are you doing here? How are you going to handle this hill? Oh, this is a run and walk hill. This is a walk only hill. Or this is a run hill. I can handle this.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely a lot of people, they feel so terrible is because they haven't done a warm-up. So they've gone out really fast and, you heard me. Yeah, I would do what I would used to do. I used to run for 10 minutes and then literally go hide behind a tree and then like stretch just like everybody else does. I run out. I've like gassed myself after 10 minutes and this is probably 2Ks. And then, and I'd hide and stretch. But that's actually probably my body saying, you know what, you're supposed to do a 10-minute warm-up and then you're supposed to do your range of motion stretching, which is, I always do 10 big arms backwards, 10 big arms forwards, and then I swing my legs around, out and back forward, and then across my body, just like the football players do. And so I do that. So I do my 10 minutes of just slow jog. So take it easy. It's supposed to be like a grandma. You're not supposed to be going very fast at all. And then I do my range of motion stretching and then I start running.
Right.
So from there you might go, okay, so make sure you do a proper warm up. Yeah.
First. Okay, that's what I've been missing. The other week or last week, I went for a jog, or was it? Yeah, it was more than a jog. It was a run because I'm silly and I just go too hard. Had some really motivational music and I ended up in a bus stop somewhere just like almost keeled over going, what have I done? And then just like it's the slowest walk ever back home. My wife's like, oh, how was your jog? Well, your run. And I was like, yeah, it was okay. I don't know if I'll be doing that again.
I tell you what, it was amazing. I'm going again tomorrow.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, you're just going out a little bit hard. And most people will go out there, and most people say, I can't even run a kilometre. And they usually have just gassed themselves for a kilometre. So I just run and walk for a K. So when you're another lady just starting this morning, and actually she started a few weeks ago, and I just have her running maybe 100 metres around an oval, and then 100 metres walking, and then 100 metres running, and then 100 metres walking. And we just split it up into 4, manageable parts. And just like anything, just split it up and go, okay, I'm going to run to that tree. I'm going to walk, run and walk. And I guess that way you also will avoid injuries because you're not going to, you're probably going to be able to manage to be able to run with a better technique for 20 steps than try and do, a 400-metre run where maybe good technique for maybe 50 metres, you know what I mean, or 100 metres, and then your technique goes because you're getting tired. So it's always better to run and then walk because you can maintain your technique for that time. Yeah. But I guess the other thing that I get people to do is I get people to do running drills like high knees and kicking bums and, knee drive forward, foot under bum and bouncing and hopping and walking lunges, just to make sure that they have the range of motion and also the strength to be able to run well. Because if you just run without building the strength of good running, strength should be, then you're never going to develop the good running technique unless you do those drills.
Yeah, if you haven't got that foundation, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
if you never move your body in the correct way, it was never going to learn how to move in the correct way. So that's why we have to do the drills, or run for a short distance in the correct way, and then walk. Eventually your fitness, your cardio will catch up, but it will just take some time. It could take 3 years. It took me probably, I'm just trying to think, it took me years to be able to run up hills, like years to be able to run. Like even technically, Ultra Trail Australia, I would have like, there's one hill I've never been able to run up that sucker, you know. and that's just that. I might be able to run up in a training session, but I can't run up it after 80k.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sometimes, and most of the girls will run up that hill. I'm pretty sure Brendan and Scott or some of the boys can get up there if they're having a good day, but you know, it just takes time to build up that endurance. Yeah.
That's something that it's another tangent, but something that I found super interesting when I started looking into, especially ultra running, is like, for instance, we're talking about before Courtney DeWalter, like how she's like beating guys by hours, or you know, like there seems to be like it's one of those sports where guys and girls, like it's quite close between you, which is awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah. Look, and I think especially when it goes to the really long stuff, I'm pretty sure research has shown that women are better at fat burning than men. I'm pretty sure just our metabolism, we naturally hold, I think, 10% more body fat on our bodies than men, just because of, you know, we hold it in our skin. That's why quite often women don't look as ripped as blokes. You know, when we get down to it, we actually physically can't. I'm sure we hold a little bit in our breasts and, you know, in our boobs, in our butt and stuff, but naturally in our skin, we also hold more fat than men. And I'm pretty sure it's just because we have babies.
Yeah.
And
so you're just more efficient.
I think we're there for the long haul, the girls, and especially for the longer distances. When we do the multi-stage events, we definitely it's becoming a more even playing field. But in an event like, you know, UTA, the boys are probably still 2 hours ahead of the girls. I think they still run in a 9, and the women are still doing an 11, but it's more strength based. But it is a shorter, so it's still, you know, that 100k distance. But when we start to go out over to the multi-days, 200ks plus, I think that's when it becomes a real, you know, even playing field. And I don't know if it's also because, you know, we are made to have babies, therefore we're made to go through labour, that we also are better at switching off our pain threshold.
I've heard that. There's something
we
about
have a higher pain threshold than men, and it is just because of labour.
For sure. What's the longest race that you've done?
It was probably Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc, maybe Ultra Trail Mount Fuji. One year the course had changed and then I got a bit lost, so I added some extra. So
just for fun.
170 Ks I think I've done.
Wow.
So 170 Ks with altitude. So about 30 hours. Just over about 30 hours for both of them. About 30 hours and 5 minutes or thereabouts.
And how long are you stopping for? So that's 30 hours of running / I imagine there's probably a little bit of walking there.
Exactly, running and walking, and but I don't like hanging out checkpoints for too long. I definitely just get moving through them. I don't even like sitting down. Yeah, I don't sit down. I just keep going.
That's incredible.
I think because I'm asthmatic, it sounds so weird that the minute that I stop, it's like I've stopped my pump for my lungs.
Yeah. And
I know some people can go in and they can lie down and have a rest for 45 minutes, and then I've seen them get up and recover and still beat me, and that's woohoo, well done. But if I even attempt to do that, I'll be sleepy bubbles or alcohol, my asthma would kick in, and that's it. So I've got to just keep that pump going. Otherwise, I just I really do fill up in my lungs, and I'm better off. It sounds weird. I'm better off running than walking because just the way that I use my breath, I have a higher cadence, and then I pump more oxygen in, when just the way that I breathe is differently. And so I'm more likely to get more oxygen in if I'm running than if I'm walking. So obviously I have an efficient run, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do it. I have a really minimal impact run, but I prefer to run up hills than to walk there. And then if I do, and if I stop is when I start to get the coughs rather than, if I keep moving. So I don't like stopping. Yeah.
It makes sense because you'd imagine. So I'm sitting down and talking on Thursday with a lady, and she's done her PhD on like flow states, like especially around athletes and how they stay in that state. And, creatives do it as well. You can work for 2 days straight on a piece of art or something and not stop or eat or think. I imagine it's similar as well. Like you would, if you're in the zone and you're going well, why stop for 45 minutes? Like,
it's like my muscles tighten up. You get cold too. I get cold, I tighten up. It's I just don't like stopping. I just keep going. So I might come in, grab a hot tea, and then just keep going out of there. If I do stop, it's like UTMB one year, I saw everyone else sitting down after 90 Ks. I went, maybe this is what you do here. Like I was doing really well. I think I was in sixth place overall, and I went, maybe this is what we do. And and then I went, oh no, actually I'm now too cold. My ankle is seizing up, and I actually pulled out that year due to injury. I wouldn't have said that I was literally puffing or anything. It was just that my ankles got too cold, and I felt like I had a broken ankle. Actually, ended up being the other foot. I had septicemia. Is that right? Cellulitis going up the toe on my other foot. So I knew I had pain going on somewhere. Like I had one ankle. It was probably my pain threshold trying to get me to stop because, I had that red line heading up my foot when I got off so there was something going on. So, but I don't like to stop at all. Yeah. Not at all.
Wow.
Hot drink and keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Are you carrying, so I'm asking lots of questions, but I guess that's what we're here for. But so are you carrying water with you? Like, do you have a water bottle?
Yeah. So what I do is I usually allow for 500 mils per hour. So if I think, which means if you're going over a mountain range, you could be 6 hours without a checkpoint or 7 hours without a checkpoint, which means that I've got to carry three liters of water on me plus my kit. So, and my food. So you've got to allow for that. And some of those checkpoints when you are doing an ultra in, Ultra Mount Fuji or Mont Blanc, it could be a 6 hour checkpoint.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, you carry it all. In, France, they say, you can just fill up from the creeks. And you're supposed to, and they encourage you with your iodine tablets. But I do hear of people getting sick. But you can like if you're up at a snow line, you can have take the snow and use that. It also makes you cold, but you can do this. I've filled up at creeks before. When I know I'm going to be up in the Alpine region. But in Australia, this is impossible.
Yeah. It must be beautiful running through.
Because we just don't have that much water. It is. Yeah, some of my best memories are, I think I'm, let's say 50K in or whatever, 60K into the Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc. And there's this one particular climb. It's up to like the French-Italian border, and it's at night time. And there's like all these switchbacks. And so can you imagine you're going up and then you look back and there's a ribbon of light behind you?
Yeah.
It's all dark and then a ribbon of light, just twinkling lights behind you, moving up behind you. So it can look gorgeous, but bloody scary at the same time, because when you're racing, you don't know who's in there, and you can see a line of people coming behind you, and you can use that to motivate you.
Yeah.
To go, okay, where am I? What place am I? Am I racing yet, or am I not racing yet? So that in itself, you have to be able to control that fear too. And so, it depends on what sort of runner you are. Do you run on fear? Are you a hunter, or are you a fleer? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
I'm a fleer, like I'm a flight. So I'm okay with hunting people down, but I'm definitely like to get out the front and then But yeah, be scared of what's coming up behind me.
Definitely. Yeah, that makes sense. And if you can really harness that, you're going, you're my target now. I'm not getting caught by you, or I'm running you down. Yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah. So some people are real hunters, and I'm a flayer. So I'm always fast out of the blocks, and it's just my flight response. So I've got a flight response, and I'm gone. And then, but you know, I've been able to use my natural speed, I guess, from doing track work to get some easy Ks at the start, which could take some people. Sometimes when I'm racing, if they can catch me at 8Ks, I'm probably not going to see them again. If they catch me at 30K, I may not see them again. At 80K, yeah. In other words, there's usually a big gap between someone catching me at 8K. If they've got me and passed me, they probably won the race because they're that much faster than me. At 30K, chances I could catch them again, but at 80K is someone I've usually been able to maintain that distance at 80K. In other words, no one's going to catch you till 80K. Yeah. And then at 80K, if they get ahead of me, fantastic. Sometimes I can still chase them down, but I'm definitely one of those people that try and stays out ahead of people. And
makes sense.
You have to be a particular type of runner to be able to get me early because I can maintain my speed for that amount of time. The time that I did the UTMB when I came 10th over there, I probably had a totally different game plan than what I normally had, and you have to. So for a 100K event, for me, for a 100K event, I can get out and hold it and maintain it. But for a 100-mile event, that's different.
Yeah.
I can't.
How many Ks is that? How many Ks is 100 miles?
160K.
Yeah.
So for 160K, you don't start racing until 120K in. And then you start racing. So you've made it through the night, all the way through the next day, and then you're starting to race. So for a 100-mile, you have to go out, you know, slow, and that's how you handle a 100-mile. And you go out walking when you normally be running. And so straight up, I've watched all these people. So the first year I attempted UTMB, I pulled out at about 105 or 115K, depending where the checkpoint was where I had to pull out. I'm pretty sure I had to do an extra 10K or whatever to get out of there. Oh, well. And anyway, but I raced it too early. And then when I got to about 80 or 90K in, I was at, I can't remember, 12 hours, let's say. The year later, I ran and walked, took it really slow. People were asking me after 8K, Shona, what's up? You're walking here, whereas last year you were running it. And I go, yeah, it's cool. I got to 90K in. I was only a minute behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd probably given up, I think I was in 24th place, whereas the year before I was maintaining 5th place. Do you get what I mean? So I've come.
But you had so much more in the tank.
Yeah. I had so much more in the tank. Whereas, you know, 100K, you can get out, hold it, maintain it. But that's for me, I can, but not for 160K. Yeah.
It's extra distance that makes the difference.
Yeah. And I usually say this to people, is that when you're doing an ultra, you can only push your limits so much because you have to leave something in the tank for when it all goes tits up. Because you have to be able to think your way out of it. You have to be able to think your way out of a problem. So something happens, you get lost, or your nutrition stuff's up, or you don't have the right gear on you, or something happens. You have to be able, your head stops up. You've got to figure out how to, or you have an injury, you twist your ankle. You have to have enough in the tank to be able to go, okay, I've got this covered. How do I think my way out of this problem? But if you push yourself too hard too early, you don't have enough glucose in your brain to think your way out of a problem.
And then that's when it's just a downhill spiral pretty much.
Exactly. Before you know it, you're crying and you want to give up. You're going home in the bus. I've been skidooed down the side of a mountain because it was snow. I was up at 3,000 metres on the back of the rescue patrol dudes. Crack up, and then you have to do a walk of shame in front of, the police in Italy or out of an ambulance. So I've had an absolute corkers before, where just absolute bonks, where there was this one race called Ice Trail Val d'Isère. Ice Trail to Val d'Isère. Yeah, it's something like that. I can't remember. It was a few years ago. But you go up on a glacier and we have to wear special crampon shoes.
Wow.
And so they're like these, it's called yak tracks anyway. It's like you put wire on the bottom of your shoes so then you can run up the ice, and you have to have poles. And so up we go, and you race up above 3,400 metres, and you come all the way back down again. You go up and over all these mountain ranges, and 60% of the race is above the snow line. So you're running through the snow for 40 kilometres more. The fastest way to get down the mountain when it's snowing is actually just to slide down on your arms. It's super fast. And then I'm running along. I'm from Australia. We're not used to snow running at all. And I'm running along and I'm going, remember I've got those dodgy knees that used to flick out? I'm like, how on earth am I doing this and not having my knees flip out?
Yeah, wow.
Snow is melting. You're running through snow. It's melting. And you're running along going, but
how do you train for that? Like, or you just sort of go, the first time you did it, you just do it?
That was it. I went over there to race on the European circuit, and you just did it. There was no training involved. I'd get off a plane on, say I was racing in France. I raced the Mont Blanc Marathon. You get off the plane on, I'm going to say Tuesday. You're racing a vertical K on the Friday. And then 2 days later, maybe the Sunday, you're doing the marathon. So,
wow. Yeah.
You don't get much time on the ground. Well, I didn't. I had kids. So some people get to go over, and the right thing to do is to go over 6 weeks beforehand, sit at altitude and acclimatise yourself. But for me, I just didn't have that. I had kids, so I had to, do it at home. So I'd go into an altitude gym and train with like an altitude mask on. I know that Brendan Davies may still do. He'd go into a full chamber. I couldn't get myself to a chamber down in Sydney. So I used to just restrict myself of the oxygen just to increase my lung capacity, but to also get myself used to that feeling of being uncomfortable potentially. At altitude, especially as an asthmatic. So then when I got over there, it wasn't so terrifying. So, look, Mont Blanc Marathon I did really well at, and, I ended up getting a 9th place there. But, I gave it my absolute all, and I stuffed up my nutrition. At 10 kilometres, my gel flask flew out. 5 gels gone, and I was going so fast down a mountain. Stop it!
Oh, man.
So that one I got away with, but I lost 3 places in the last 400 metres because I was just bonking. The next one I did in Europe, I bonked. My support crew didn't turn up at 40K, and then he didn't turn up at 50K because he thought that I was in another race. The one race went through, the short course went through. So like say if I was doing the 60K, short course went through the 30K runners, and he's going, where's Shona? Oh my God, she must be injured somewhere. And so he left. And so I get to the checkpoint. And remember, I'm celiac and gluten-free. I'm asthmatic. I can't eat anything at the checkpoints. I'm surviving on Coca-Cola and bananas, and you can't do that at altitude. So I had a good old-fashioned bonk, and so that's when I got ski-doo down the mountain. So it's just, nutrition's so important. So important.
Sure.
Otherwise, you just stop. That's it. You're out cold, lying in the snow.
There's no. You can't do anything else. Definitely. You're out. You're down. So especially at 3,000 meters, it's amazing how many calories you churn through. Then at sea level. Yeah, you can just eat Nutella all day long there and you're fine. It's not going to matter. It's just pure energy. That's awesome. How have you taken, so the lessons that you've learnt and the experiences that you've had from running and on these incredible races, have you taken some of those lessons and applied them into your own life, or have you found that there's been a bit of a transference of your mindset in a race to how you approach business challenges like that?
Absolutely. it's all about having the right focus, and what is the right focus at any given time. And so if you're in, a race, so what's your focus? That's easy. The focus should be nutrition, hydration, your technique, what's going on at checkpoints, what's in my checkpoint bag, the preparation beforehand, your training beforehand, everything that leads you into it. From that then is, it's so easy to then apply that to business. It's, what's my right focus? What do I need to get done today? But that's like your short-term goal for the day. Then you set your long-term goals and medium to long-term goals. So I've been really lucky to take my experience of what we're talking about, 13 years of trail running, and now I've put on Brisbane Trail Ultra, and I've been able to apply. I've got one of those crazy photographic memories that at any given time, at any part of the course, I could almost remember if there was an issue with whatever, be it something that the race director had to fix or something that happened on the course at any given time. And so I can remember that and then apply it to then being a race director for Brisbane Trail Ultra. So it's been great with that. So Brisbane Trail Ultra, I knew that in 2013 I wanted to do a race.
Okay.
I just didn't know where. So it's been a goal since 2013. I was looking at events to put on an event down in the Blue Mountains in Sydney, but 100-miler in that area. But it so happened that I moved up to Brisbane. And then, of course, I researched all the trails around here, and I figured out which trails would get us the vert that was needed. So elevation gain and loss that was needed to mean that we could get maximum points on for our athletes if they were trying to qualify for other events like like Western States, Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc, and so on and so on. But also, you have a duty, if you're a race director, you have a duty of care to your entrants to make sure that they are getting the best possible course, but also the biggest bang for their buck. In other words, the most elevated gain and loss possible. But also, if those athletes are then going to go off and race internationally, you have to then make sure in your mind, are they prepared for that? So I guess I look at the Brisbane Trail Ultra as a stepping stone event to, if people were going to go and race over in Europe, US, Japan, New Zealand, they're going to be prepared. I guess that's my coaching mama, the mum that I am, going, if you can do this, you're going to be okay over in Europe. You're going to be fine. Yeah. And I guess that is the main focus of, of our event, is to, definitely prepare people for bigger and beyond. Yeah.
Whereabouts is the race? Where do you guys do it?
So we start in the Gap, and then we head up. Yeah, we head up to McAfee's Lookout, all the way up to Mount Nebo, to Mount Glorious, Northbrook Mountain, and then we come back via Gold Creek. And part of, I guess, our ethos is that we try and get as many stunning views, as many gorgeous single tracks, and really showcase our amazing rainforest and subtropical rainforest. And this we've got virgin rainforest just up at Mount Nebo and Mount Glorious. And not too many people even know about this.
It's beautiful, hey?
400-year-old trees just there. They're massive trees, and I just want to, and that's the reason why we've got like the trails going straight past it. There's like these little detours where people go, why is there that album back there? There's an album back that way because there's an amazing tree there and you all need to go there. And there's a few little circuits and loops, but those circuits and loops they're there for a reason. It's because that particular part of the course is really pretty. So circuits and loops are also quite cool. If you're a racer, you get to see your competitors. Yeah. And you also, if you're not racing, you're just out there for fun, if you're doing an out and back or a circuit, chances are you might see your mate out there too, and you get to high-five your friend. And, as we were talking about before, ultra running can be quite a lonely experience. And so if you get to see your friends, it's definitely makes it a little bit more exciting when you're out there racing.
Yeah, but, that's awesome.
Yes, we've tried to make it the prettiest course possible, and definitely the most challenging course in the area. And we're pretty sure it is the most challenging course in the area, which is fantastic. And then we had the audacity, of course, to run it down through Paddington and then finish it into the city.
Okay.
At South Bank. So we run it all the way. So we come down Latrobe and Given Terrace, and then we cut up in front of Suncorp Stadium, and then we take the bike paths into South Bank. Yeah.
That's
so we
awesome.
Run past,
that's so good.
Yeah. And so last year we timed it that most of our runners were finishing at sunset or twilight dusk, which meant that, our Brisbane City Light Show is on. So 100K, 100-mile runners, 60K runners then run into the city and it's all lit up for them at night. And then, of course, they get to have, beers, food trucks, and there's a big festival atmosphere at the end. So this year with COVID, we've kind of had to do it a little bit differently. We've had to spread everybody out a little bit more, which means that the 110 and 100-mile runners will still be finishing at night, but the 60K runners and 30K runners will be finishing in the day. So we just spread everybody out. But then, so then we can have our social distancing and keep everyone safe. Yeah, so we've had to do a few little tricks with COVID to get us over the line. So we had to postpone the event too because we were the AURA, so the Australian Ultrarrunners Association 100K Championships. So that's the championships which they hope to choose the national team for. Okay. And so because original date was on July 11th, so our borders weren't going to be open to interstate by July 11th. Yeah. Our Premier was only going to decide on July 10th whether or not she would open, and then that would be 2 weeks later. So we missed it by maybe about 2 weeks. Yeah. So that's why we postponed the date, the event, until October long weekend. So it's the 3rd and the 4th of October is now our race date.
Wow, that sounds great.
It's a 110K. It's a 100K champ. So we are definitely attracting a fair amount of interstate athletes, and so that was the other reason why we postponed it, is because so many people from all over the country want to come, and so that's why we pushed it back as well. And to be honest with you, in 2019, last year, we had everybody coming from all over the country. It wasn't just a Queensland event. It was, even if it was Queensland, it was all the way up the whole of the Queensland coast came. So we had it all heat mapped. Northern Territory, WA, South Australia. We had people from New Zealand, Japan, US, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Spain, UK, all came to the event. It was awesome. It was really, really, really nice international event. So it's a shame that they won't be able to come, or the internationals won't be able to come this year, but we hope to have them back in 2021.
Yeah. 2021 might be your biggest one yet then, because everybody's been hanging out for it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we're really excited. We're really excited about it. We know that even, to be honest with you, potentially even 2021, we might still have to have the same, I guess, like social distancing still might be a thing in 2021. So the other thing that we're doing for our athletes is, how before I said that I don't mind being unsupported into checkpoints. I don't come in contact with anybody. So I've probably taken that same ethos of me, that maybe it's called control freak, OCD, I don't know what. But imagine if, say, in COVID, if you think about a checkpoint and like spread of disease.
Yeah.
Imagine those checkpoints. They can be like a big hot mess of like whatever, people just everywhere, touching the face, touching the noses, touching things. Yeah, gross. So then what we're allowing is for people to have their own drop bags. So they run in, go to their own drop bag, and that could be a 30K runner, and that's from, the first ever checkpoint. So they can come in, manage their own food, which is normally not necessarily the case, but we definitely want to do it for our event in COVID. So then it just means that people can really control their own nutrition, control their own hydration, and they don't have to touch anything at the checkpoints, which is really cool. Well, obviously we're going to have emergency supplies, and we'll have hand sanitizer and marshals there making sure everybody's social distancing and being clean as they touch things. But we just didn't want, people running in and potentially making other people sick.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the key thing. The other big push is that with COVID, everything's supposed to be a single-use item. And of course, last year, what was a big push? The big push was against single-use plastics. And then here we are, this year of, how do we keep everybody safe? And it's all like this big throwaway thing. We just didn't want that to happen. And so that's why we're really encouraging people to use their own drop bags, and then hopefully they can use their own reusable water bottles. So they come in, they have their own water bottles in their race packs. They throw it into their checkpoint bag. They pick up 2 water bottles. They shove it back in their vest, and then they run out of there. Super fast, very easy. Yeah. It's probably even faster than filling up a water bottle where you have to sit there and wait for the tap to fill. Yeah. Like I personally, as an elite athlete, I've always gone in with my pre-filled water bottles, go in, grab 2 water bottles, and then go out of there, which means I probably have about 14 water bottles, soft flasks, ready to go. But it's something which I've invested in over time, and it means that my checkpoints are lightning fast.
Definitely. I think it's good as well. Like you're talking about how you're trying to make it almost like not so much a training, but going, if the athletes can do this, they can go and do anything in Europe or wherever. It's good experience for them as well to not have that big crew that they're relying on. They might not have ever done a single, being their own, controlled it all themselves. So if they go, when I did that in the Brisbane, what's the name of it again? Brisbane
Trail Ultra. Yeah.
Brisbane Trail Ultra. If they go, I did that in that, I feel comfortable now doing something similar in the other races.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and that's exactly right. To be honest with you, like in New Zealand, they do drop bags. In Australia, we do drop bags, but in Europe, it's very checkpoint driven. So in Europe, you only get 1 drop bag.
Right.
Only. So you could be running 160 Ks and only have 1 drop bag. So it'll be interesting to see how those events will manage COVID. As in, lots of people running checkpoint, because it's so I can see big kind of warning signs with that. But it's as an athlete, for me, when you go over to Europe, and say when you go over to Europe, you've got your support crew there. If you have your drop bag sitting there ready to go, so what I do for my crew is I have all my checkpoints already bagged up, ready to go with all my food in there. So all my support crew has to do is rock up, hand me my bag. They're just handing me a bag. They're not doing anything. I don't trust anybody with my stuff. Yeah. And so that means that they can't stuff it up. So, when you do go to Europe, you might still need a support crew there, but teaching yourself how to manage your own food and to measure it out exactly the amount that you need, exactly the amount of hydration you need, exactly the amount of calories you need, means that you're not going to get caught short and you're not going to carry too much.
Yeah.
Especially when you're carrying potentially 5 kilos of kit already. So it becomes really important that you know exactly how much to carry.
And also to do that, you've had to think through that whole race. So you've almost used that, you visualized it kind of, you've gone, this is where I'm going to be at this point. This is what I'm going to need to have. Even I think doing that as a practice really helps as well.
Yeah. Oh, and that's exactly right. So what I would do is I would, not only am I looking at the distance along, I'm also looking at the profile of the event and then going, okay, so that is about this much of a climb. Therefore, I'll be doing 12, 20 Ks an hour, 20 Ks, 20 minutes for 1 kilometre, if need be, for that climb is huge. Yeah, because sometimes they just are. They're massive climbs. And so you have to go, okay, what am I going to eat there? How much do I need to eat? And then therefore I need to give that to my checkpoint, my support crew, or have it in my checkpoint bag. Otherwise you get to the checkpoint and you're spending half an hour there. You don't even have the brain capacity to think, when you're there. Like you're stuffed. You all you can do is eat, run, maybe pee, if you can pee. Some events I've gone without peeing the whole way and it's been the best event.
Yeah.
So yeah, but definitely planning ahead and managing that is key. I think because I have been so organised in my events, and obviously if you've been ranked, that highly in the world, you've been able to plan. I've been self-coached, self-managed the whole time as well, and so it means that when I'm putting on an event like Brisbane Trail Ultra, it means that I can think about, exactly what the athlete is going to need at that given time, and make sure that, we have made definitely we've accommodated them for it. And I think that's the reason why, like, Brisbane Trail Ultra was my first ever event that I put on. That's it. And 4 events in one, and it's 100 mile, 30K, 60K, 110, 100 mile on a Red Bull climb. And so it's pretty ballsy to go out and to do that. But, because, I've taken those skills that I've had from racing all over the world, sight unseen, being able to plan ahead and taking it across and going, okay, well, this is how I will manage this event. And it seemed to have worked.
Definitely. It sounds like it's definitely working. It's a big achievement. That's so good.
Yeah. I'm lucky to have a business partner too, and she's also so Cora Lau also helps me out, and she's also very analytical with her thinking. She's got a very different background to me, so we make a very good team, the two of us together. I'm I've learned from a lot of my practical experience, whereas she's probably a bit more university trained than me.
Yeah. You need those people for sure. Good. That sounds like a good team.
Because they're the people who definitely are able to, I guess, think about potential issues that could arise. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So where can people, so we mentioned before that you're a trainer, you're training people at the moment. If people are listening to this and they go, I really want to get into this, I want to start running, or maybe I need to walk before I run, where can people find you? Where's the best place?
So you can look on Ultra Training Australia or Outdoor PT Brisbane, or just my Facebook page. You can probably just type in Shona Stephenson and direct message me and take it from there. Pretty approachable. How do we I think
I emailed you, I think.
Emailed me. Yeah. I'm all over Google.
But I find direct messaging sometimes just works just as good nowadays as well.
It does, yeah. And then, like, when it gets to a bit more formal and we start talking about, places and times, and email me. Otherwise it can get lost in the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't. I guess Facebook's so nice because you can get a nice understanding of who that person is before you meet them, which is it's a bit more personal. I guess that's the nice thing about Facebook. But just have a look on my websites or Google Shona Stephenson, and hopefully good things turn up on Google.
I'm sure they will. How bad could they be? Anyway, maybe don't answer that.
I'm sure it's all fine. Crack up.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for chatting. I have learned so much. It's been awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you for inviting me on, and thank you for your patience with me. I was a little bit late today, I actually got caught out in the bush with a new client who was a little bit lost beforehand, and it was one of those Google Map things. Here, meet me at this pinpoint in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, see how that goes. Totally fine. No worries at all. But it's been so good. I'm definitely going to listen back to this and take some of those tips to really, I want to try and get into running, I reckon. It's been one of those things I've wanted to do for a while, but I think I just need to start slow. And there's a few trails around where I am that don't have any elevation, like around a quarry and stuff. So I've seen people running in and out of that, and I've always gone, I'm going to give that a go. So see how we go.
What, near Barden or?
No, I'm just in Wynnum West. So it's just a little, not a national park, but a reserve. Yeah, just off Wynnum Road there, kind of in Tingalpa sort of area.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's very big, but I think it's a trail. It's not running on concrete.
Wynnum West.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what it's a quarry. So
Wynnum West. I'll just Google map it. No.
So it's right near Chemist Warehouse on Wynnum Road.
Wynnum West. Is it there's a big green patch here. So
That's probably what it is.
What's it called, the quarry?
It's near the cemetery. Apparently there's an old quarry in there. See, I've never been in there. It might be nothing, but there's a few tracks around there apparently.
You can see a golf course. This Sandy Camp Row Reserve Wetlands. There's a report hero.
If you type in
patch Killer Anna Road Wetland.
Oh yeah, it might be that because that's the road I live on. So Kainoa Road. I'm just around that area in there. Yeah, it's right next to Hemmant Cemetery.
Yeah, it's a big Hemmant Cemetery. I'm looking on Google Hemmant. I'm from Sydney, so
yeah. You've done well to find all those places for the event that you put on then, because I don't even know half of those places.
Cool, I got you. Hemmant Quarry Reserve, cool.
Yeah, something in there. I'll go and check it out.
Yeah, go in. Looks good. There's enough land out here. So usually there's a quarry would normally mean that there's a climb. I can see that there's like a little reservoir at the bottom, isn't there?
Yeah, I know people go in there and go swimming and stuff. I don't know if
wow.
So cool. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it should be fun.
You can do a hill repeat from Wynnum Road. So then I can see a bit of a track going down. In other words, I'm just looking. There's a few tracks through here. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, cool. This is what I did with the bloke this morning. I just looked on Google Earth, like Google Maps, and just said, "Oh yeah, well, I'll meet you here. I can see this."
Yeah, it's kind of fun, I guess, to explore and stuff as well, isn't it? In a way.
Yeah.
Find what's out there. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
so hopefully I go all right. I'll let you know.
Yeah, if you get lost, you can Strava. If you get on Strava, if you do the Strava summit, they can do like a beacon thing.
Okay.
And you can set like a distress signal, but you're not going to get distress signal in there. You're going to be fine. Nah. Do you have a dog
Nah, I don't. Nah.
You get a dog. If you get a dog, you feel safe. And to be honest with you, I reckon my Kelpie, she effectively finds all the trails. So she runs along ahead of me. And I can see her. She's like, "I'll go this way," and so I go, "Okay,
because you can probably smell people have gone through there and other dogs.
Yeah. She can smell it, and so I just watch her and go, "Okay, we'll do that." We found an awesome trail at Clear Mountain. It's just like this, like seriously straight up like that. And this bloke, he would have been like 130 kilos. And I got him down the other side. I was surprised he didn't go tits up. It was so funny. He did really well. I was very impressed with him. But he's doing Run Larapinta, so I'm going to take him out there. Otherwise, he's going to die if he goes to Northern Territory.
It's got to get the training for it.
For sure. Do it.
Yeah.
I'll crack up. Well, lovely chatting, and I'll go and shower. Thank you for your patience with me, and thanks for Friday. We had just like a killer day. It was an awesome day. Some really cool things are happening business wise. So hopefully we can let you in on it soon enough, and it could be a really cool story the minute I know.
Definitely. So, let me know.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so much. So great to meet you, and have a great day.
Love to meet you too. Yeah. And let me know if you want to go for a run anytime.
Sounds good. Alrighty.
Awesome.
No worries. Thank you. See ya.
Bye.